you can. But I think that, transparency is probably the best way to go about it. So,
Okay. So now, some of the things that I've seen, and also when I interview people, they talked about. I'm gonna give some examples of some things I've seen at some shows.
sure.
One was I seen an athlete
Mhm.
won a show, and congratulations to the athlete. I'm not gonna say their names and stuff because we're talking about them right now. And their spouse or their fiance or whatever was in tears. It was happy for them, but they was in tears because it's like a disconnect, celebrating, but it kind of had their spouse isolated. And
Okay.
another spouse kind of saw it and asked them are they okay. Another spouse of another athlete asked them are they okay. But you when I interview people, they talk about it. You see this almost all the time. Like after sometimes one promoter told me sometimes even boil down to a divorce. It gets that bad.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
I have talked to some athletes. They say that have done it with they have did a prep with a bodybuilder or something that another athlete they're going with or they're with, and they say it can be easier because they go to the gym at the same time. They both work on the meal plans together,
Mhm,
so it can be easier. But then some people
mhm,
say they did without one. But it's as long as you have communication, good communication. Like
mhm.
okay, prep's coming up. This is how the person is. Don't take it personal. Like I am Graham's talked about in the magazine.
Right.
As long as you have good communication and both of you on the same level, then you can work it through.
Well,
Um,
it sounds to me, and I don't know who this athlete is, and I feel bad even saying this, but I know if it comes to me personally, if I reach a certain level of success, that special person in my life is the one person that I want to celebrate it with. It's like when something right goes, or when something goes well in your life, or something goes wrong in your life, who is that first person that you pick up the phone and call with good news? So if I'm winning a bodybuilding show and I'm not running to that person in my life to give them a hug, like, holy shit, I did this, we did this, then there's probably already a problem. You know,
right.
um, at the same time, if you didn't do a good enough job throughout your prep to really involve your spouse in whatever it is, even if, or your partner, if you're not, with them during the week and you prep separately, or you go to the gym at separate times and you're not taking the time to, I don't know, take Sunday mornings at church or go for a walk on a Saturday. And this isn't just with your spouse. I mean, I don't have children, but I know a lot of people do. So it's really important to like incorporate that family time. I feel
Right.
that, if you're not celebrating with that person first and foremost, there's an issue. Now, there is something to be said about just the camaraderie amongst athletes and understanding that, maybe your partner doesn't fully know what you just went through, and somebody that is maybe, jumping on you backstage and giving you a big hug, it's a little bit more relatable because they've seen the journey, they understand the years that it's maybe taken to win that show or whatever it is, right? So I agree, you can't take it personally there, but what happens, is there a private conversation? Is there a hotel room talk where it's like, hey, honey, let me sit you down. I really want to let you know that this couldn't have been accomplished without you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you can't control your emotions in the moment, especially when you're happy. You just kind of
Yeah.
you do what you do, but there has to be a moment of reflection. So, maybe we didn't see what happened right after that. Maybe
Yeah.
they did have that talk. Maybe there was that hotel room hug where it's just like, look, I'm really sorry in the moment. I didn't,
Mm.
gravitate towards you. There was a lot going on. My mind was everywhere, but I want to say thank you because this wouldn't have happened without you. And you're right,
Yeah.
communicating what was happening, what you were feeling, and then apologizing and taking ownership for those things, can really maybe lead to a different result other than, divorce via bodybuilding, which is awful, right? There shouldn't be
Yeah.
anything in the world that would cause a divorce. Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but I'm just saying in terms of bodybuilding, you shouldn't be divorcing over bodybuilding. You have to communicate. It's in my opinion, it's not worth it.
Now,
So
I talked to one athlete. He was now he's not. We talked earlier about if you're already in the sport or if you get into the sport.
mhm,
So I talked to a person before, and they was getting into the sport,
right.
and so their wife wasn't doing the diet with them, so they
Mhm.
felt that well me because she's not doing the diet with me.
Right.
So I talked to other athletes asked the same question. They said, well, this is their intake in it. They didn't choose the sport. They didn't choose to do that. To do that, I mean, they could be supporting you in many ways as far as cooking the meals, as far as being there for you emotionally,
Hmm.
but they didn't choose the sport. Them and the kids didn't choose the sport. So sometimes people have kids that have try to put them in the same diet, but kids are kids. You gotta let them be kids. I mean,
Yeah.
so to get them in the strict diet, because we take things to extreme when it comes to our diet, especially when we trying to
Right.
we got tight competition coming against us. We're
Right.
strict in our diet, so we shouldn't hold other people because this is what we chose to do. This is what we love to do. So we shouldn't
Hmm.
have other people have our restrictions just like we have, because then it kind of breaks away. You know what I'm saying? To me, like the kids not gonna they're not gonna enjoy it because they be like, oh, here we go.
Right. Well, I feel like there has to be an understanding of that in both directions, right? Because,
Mm,
you're choosing this, absolutely, but it doesn't mean that your life stops. And sometimes,
right.
when you're first getting into the sport, you think that you can't manage life outside of just being at home, prepping every single meal, making sure that everything's timed. And when you're fresh in the sport and you're a new athlete, you haven't quite figured out how to manage your social time, meaning
Mm,
family time, time away from the home, right? Because it's super easy to have, all of your meals in your kitchen, what's going into your food. But if you pre plan and you prepare just a little bit more, you don't have to really alter your family or your spouse's life. You really still can go out and do these things and picnic and even go to dinner. I mean, Lord knows I've pulled chicken and fish out of my purse many times and draped them over a salad in like a restaurant. You do what you have to do, but it doesn't mean you have to say no to that time. So
mm,
at the same time, you can't hold that expectation because this is something that you choose. But on the other hand, I've seen many times that inspires a change in the spouse or even in the family. Once a goal like that has been hit, you inspire, your spouse or your partner to be healthier. Or they're like, wow, I watched them go through that. This was huge. Maybe I can do something like that, or I can lead a healthier lifestyle, or
mm,
we together can set a better example, not just for our children, but maybe for our friends or our coworkers, because
mm.
there's a huge reflection of you as a person and what you bring to your day to day with going through a prep. And especially when other people get to see you do it for the first time, it doesn't have to be negative.
Right.
Um, so when it comes to that, I fully agree. They didn't commit to it. This is a personal choice. You can't hold that expectation to anybody else. But at the same time, you can't put restrictions on them also, or even be angry towards them for not doing it with you. And you can't take it personally because that just might be your hunger talking, like, man, they don't support me because they're not eating chicken and rice and I'm mad they're eating something better than me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you really can't. It's your personal goal. I mean, at the end of the day, you climb up on that stage and you're the only one performing. Every rep you do yourself, as much as it takes a team to get on stage, and we are appreciative of those people. The demand truly falls on you. You can't hold anybody else to that standard if it's not their choice.
Right. Now, in our last issue, we had Kerry. He was talking about it. He competed as an athlete. Like he still competes,
Uh-huh.
and eventually he said that his wife at first said, "No, she's not going to do it. She don't want to do it." And then eventually she saw what it was doing, and she liked it,
Yeah,
and so she ended up trying it. Now she's an athlete. So
that's
I mean,
amazing.
yeah. So eventually, I mean, sometimes your spouse or your whoever you with eventually can change. Be like, okay. And I talked to some people who have been through like that. Like they started
Right.
off, they was competing. Then the person's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. Nah, it takes too much time. Do this and that. Then eventually they end up doing it together. Like they're doing the meal prep together. They end up going to the gym together. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a bond they form. You know, so I mean, it does work out like you said. Sometimes people watch what you do and see how you respond to it, and then they see you
Right.
on stage, and they be like, "Shoot, if they could do it, I could do it." You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of cool to see when that happens. One thing that we can't do though is expect everybody to follow suit. So if
Yeah.
we keep an open mind with our with our relationships, I think that that's probably the best thing. If you know yourself so well and you're dedicated to the sport and you're like a single athlete, maybe it is best for you to focus on gravitating towards somebody that has a similar lifestyle towards you, or as you, excuse me. But if you're, just getting into this sport, I really do think that the hope is to inspire, but accepting that they may not hop on that bandwagon with you, because we're all a little crazy to be it for years at a time. But
Mm.
it's okay for them to say, like, man, my hat's off to you, but that's not, can still be supportive. So I think that maybe we all need to be a little bit more gracious to the people in our lives. And, I know I've certainly made that mistake in my past relationships. It is kind of taking yourself and putting yourself in that person's shoes for a little bit. And that goes both ways. They've got to understand the mental stress, the physical stress, the exhaustion, all of these things that we're doing to strive to accomplish these goals. But at the same time, we have to understand their perspective, and they maybe didn't necessarily feel that they'd be spending their life with the bodybuilder who eats the same thing for 4 months at a time, because that's
Right.
crazy. We're all little nuts.
Let's talk about if somebody say they're starting a relationship. Now let's talk about
Okay.
how they can introduce what they do as a bodybuilder or a bikini competitor to the relationship, so that way it'd be a good understanding versus it being a conflict in the future.
Oh man, that's a really good subject. I've never really thought about that, but you know, probably because I personally don't have time for the subject itself. But I think probably the worst thing would be, the biggest turnoff, right? Would be to sit down with somebody for the first time and be like, "Oh, look at all of these photos of me. This is what I do," because it's super intimidating, right? Like, look at
Right.
me here and look at me at this event, and I won this
Mm.
here. Like, that's a little much. So if you want to introduce, being a bodybuilder to somebody who really isn't familiar with the sport, I would
Right.
maybe just ask them, what they do in their spare time. Do you go to the gym? Do you know anything about bodybuilding? Let me explain to you the difference between maybe being a natural competitor and not a natural competitor. Because, if we're honest with ourselves, I think that there is a huge difference. Just even, with the time it takes, the recovery time, maybe what we're putting
Right.
into our bodies, how hormonally we react or don't react, how emotional we are. I feel like we're a lot more level, which is nice. So maybe, you never know if you're now encountering somebody who's previously had a bad experience with the bodybuilder. So
Mm.
it's a very delicate subject. I think that if you just maybe invite them to the gym one day, don't kill them in a workout, introduce them to your life, uh, and be very transparent and honest about, the time that you require for yourself during a prep, because it's huge, to be honest. You can't sugarcoat that. There's no way around it, especially for people that work full time like myself. I get off of work, I may do 7 days before I get a day off. And every single one of those days before and after work, I'm in the gym. So it's like I hit my bed, I'm gone for 14 hours, and then I hit my bed again. I don't have time. And if you can be honest with somebody and say, are you willing to be understanding of what's required of me for this short period of time? And if you want to be involved, come to the gym with can prep together on Sundays, or I promise to dedicate every, Saturday evening to you. If you're willing to withstand this, then this could work. It's not always going to be like this, but there are moments and there are times throughout the year that this is what I do. And
Mhm.
I think the worst thing that you can do is not be honest about what's expected. And as
Right.
long as your intentions are good, and you assume that their intentions are good with you, and there's communication there, I don't foresee it really being a problem.
Mhm.
Like I said, I think that if you're already in bodybuilding and you're starting off with somebody, the likelihood is that they would have to be in the sport as well, or at least have some sort of understanding towards being dedicated to something bigger than themselves.
Right.
It doesn't have to be bodybuilding. It can be a different sport, being an artist, music, whatever it is, but something outside of work that
Mhm.
makes them burn inside, that they understand is a priority for themselves, for their own mental health, for their own sanity. And if they can be respectful that this is your outlet for those things, then there can be an understanding, even if it's not the same thing, even if it's not bodybuilding for them too. But
Mhm.
slowly introduce it. Just don't, throw it on them like, this is me, this is what I do, can you handle all this? Because I feel like that's just going to scare people. And like, for someone like me, if I'm being completely honest, I and I don't know, this is going to sound wrong. I think it's very difficult to even get to that point for me with somebody. And, I do spend a lot of time alone. It's very rare that I go out, but sometimes I just am like, I need a break. I'm going to go, to this restaurant, get a drink or whatever the case. And to be honest, people don't approach me. I just kind of sit there by myself. I usually end up talking to like the bartender, and it's usually about, work or whatever it is. So, it's in this day and age, it's hard to meet people. So I would imagine that if you spend the majority of your time at the gym, you're probably going to meet someone that already goes to the gym.
Mhm, mhm. Now, I'm glad you brought that up. Wow. So now let's go on to gym etiquette.
Okay.
I know we was gonna wait to another show, but let's go ahead and touch on that now. So gym etiquette. So this as you look online, there's thousands and thousands of forums about how to approach women in gyms or how to approach guys in gyms. Gym is the wrong place to meet you in the gym. So let's talk about gym etiquette.
Uh,
So what is the wrong way to be approached at the gym? Now
oh
I know
man.
I know from my experience when you see somebody staring at you from a far distance, you like, okay, because I mean, when you come in, you focus, but when you working out, it throws you off your focus.
Mhm.
So, what's your intake?
Oh man, what's so funny about that subject is that like I like to think of myself as a very approachable person. You're right. Me being so pressed for time, if I'm in the gym and my headphones are in and I'm like trying to do my thing because I only have an hour, before I'm on to the next thing I got to get done in my day. And you're number one, staring me down. Number two, you know, going next to me. Like I move over to this side of the gym and then you're suddenly working whatever's next to me over here. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and then if you finally work up the nerve to come talk to me, by then I'm usually annoyed. And that's so awful to say, to say, but it's the truth. Like I think that the best time to approach somebody at the gym is maybe when they're leaving, like,
Mhm.
or if you first see them there. Hey, what are you working out today? Oh, me too. Do you mind if I work in with you, or something like that? That when you're at least going to be pushing towards the same goal and you're not going to be hindering me from doing what I need to do, might be a better way to kind of get my attention. Because then, I'll number you're decent at what you do, and if I can vibe with you in the gym, let me see how much you can squat. No, I'm just kidding. But or it's like if I'm leaving, it's probably a better time, or like honestly, I would even rather be bugged while doing cardio. Just don't get in on my lift. Don't
Mhm.
stare down these women in the gym because they can feel it, and it's frustrating, and it's like the more you feel it, the more frustrated and annoyed you are. Like, you're just trying to, and as much as it sounds awful, after staring at them all day in the gym, do not hit them up on Instagram. Like, just don't do it.
You had to have it to
Delete.
you. You had to have it to you.
Oh God. It's so funny? I had a trainer last year, and he's one of my best friends, and he, would post videos of me, tag the whatever we were training, because he's a personal trainer. It's what he did. And he would literally write like, do not at her, like while he posted it. So, and then, a couple days later, like, did you get any attention off that video? I'm like, nope. But luckily he was very scary. He had like tattoos on his face. Sweet guy, but like,
Yeah.
he was like the perfect person to have in my corner when I was working out. People didn't mess with me. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Cool. Unless you're getting some sort of vibe back from the person, right? Because I've seen this. I'm a people watcher, and I like to like dream up little stories in my head of what people are doing when I'm at the gym. So especially when I'm doing cardio, I got an hour. I'm just watching. But you can tell when somebody's interested back. You can
Mhm.
see like the eye connection, or just
Yeah.
the vibe, their body
Yeah.
language, everything. And chances are interested, she's likely going to make some sort of a move. She's either going to talk to you, or, ask you to rack a weight for her, or like, can you pick up that heavy dumbbell? They're going to act incapable. I mean, I would assume that would be my approach. Like, can you rack this for me? Like, I can rack my own weights, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I see some funny videos. I see some guys. Hey, can you spot me? I'm like, oh, come on, man, really? Just trying to
I
get
mean,
the
I
woman's attention.
guess.
No, I ain't saying women can't do it, but I'm just saying they come with that line. They come with that line. Say, hey, can you spot me?
Right.
And it's like little weight, and she look at him like, really? You can't lift that, like So
But you know what? If she was into him, she'd be like, all right, I got you. You know what I mean? Of course, he's not going to slam like 5 plates on each side because what if he embarrasses himself?
I see that too.
Yeah, they're like, okay, what can I hit comfortably? So I'm not dying and catching my breath after the set. We've all been there. I mean,
Yeah. So now, like, so when you working out and somebody all of a sudden, hey, can I work? And the machines. I don't know if you have them. It's like it's a machine, and you can do pull-ups on one side, and you can do curls on the other side. You know what I'm saying about? And then you can do
okay,
like so they got some of them got the two pulleys on the side, and
right,
you can work one machine. Both of y'all can work on one machine.
right, right,
So
right,
you working out on one machine already. You know what I'm saying? You got your headphones on. You trying to think about this show, and you're like, okay,
right.
I got the show coming up. Then all of a sudden somebody say, hey, can I work out right here? And you look, there's a lot of other machines right here that they can work out at. You like, really, right beside? Because
See,
you was doing both of them.
I get like that like that with cardio, where there's like 10 machines and like you want to come work out right next to me. Like you got to come breathe heavy and sweat and everything right in my space. I'm already uncomfortable. And now you're like right here, because that's like a 30-40 minute trek of somebody next to you. When it comes to like that, unfortunately, my gym is fairly small. So there's a lot of like lifting on top of each other. I love my gym. It's Metroflex Marietta. We bodybuilding and powerlifting gym. There's no other way to put it. The air conditioning is usually not on. There's a lot of people in there, but everybody's got their head down and their focus, which I appreciate because the gym etiquette is actually really good. People are very respectful when it comes to training next to each other. I personally have no problem if someone's like, hey, do you mind, or can I get in on this pull-up bar while you're between your cable sets? Like, yeah, absolutely. I don't typically have that. I get more of the stare down before people like come in right next to me where there's other stuff available. And
you see them staring you down before they come over there. Then all of a sudden they come over there. Can I work it right here? Do you mind? You like, oh, I know what this is.
Well, you know what I usually do? Well, I have done this before. I've been like, oh, you know what? I'm done. Like, and I will literally go to the next cable set, like machine down the way. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. I was done here. And I'm like, skedaddle to the next area. That's more of what I do. I hate conflict. And to be honest, like I hate having to be the one to like be uncomfortable. So I'm really good at avoiding. I am. I'm good at avoiding. Like I unfortunately will be that person to just completely, ignore your instant message, or if you like or staring me down at the gym, or if I see you like leaving while I'm leaving, like maybe I just said, get me one. I'm like walking faster to my car.
I see people do that too. Somebody leave out so they just take off in the middle of the gym.
Yeah. Get as quick as I can. gotta go to work, I don't know. It's just like, it's hard. That's a really hard world to navigate because there's people that use the gym socially and you see them there every day for 3 or 4 hours and they're talking to everybody and, you're wondering like what they did that day, and they may get a workout in, but they have 3 or 4 hours to allocate to their social life and towards progress, right? Like for me, I personally don't, and a lot of people don't. So it's hard. I feel like maybe watching from a distance is a good idea for a couple of days just to kind of see what the vibe is. If you see a woman and she's got her headphones in and she's grinding, just leave her alone. Hope you catch her out in town somewhere, or lucky one day and she'll be in the sauna when you're in there, and then there's like no avoiding that situation. You got to kind of talk to them. But other than that, I would just unless she's giving you the look from like a distance, like, okay, I see you curling, like don't even bother. It's not worth the rejection.
Now, what about okay? Have you ever had this happen to you? Like you in I don't know how y'all gym is. Like we have this room you can go in and do your posing. So
Hmm.
you go in do your posing, and all of a sudden people see the posing. So you go into this room, nobody's in. You're like, okay, got your headphones on, you can do your posing. You've been in for like maybe five,
Right.
10 minutes, and all of a sudden this person just comes in.
Because
How
they've
you ever?
got to do sit-ups in the corner of the one room that
Yeah,
you're in.
exactly. Have you ever had that awkward moment?
I feel like, so I have a moment of like, this is either going to make me really uncomfortable or you really uncomfortable. And the difference between and like men's physique is like, let's be real, we've got like our ass swaying and like, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
We're in
yeah.
heels. If you're going to make it that uncomfortable and put your bikini room, you know, somebody's in there, they likely get up before it even gets too weird because they're like, oh, I didn't know what I walked into, you know?
Yeah,
But no,
yeah.
that absolutely happens. And, you know, for us, we're so tired, we don't care. We're just like, whatever, I got something to do. You try to find a quiet corner in the gym. And for me, like I've got my Metroflex membership and then I have like an LA Fitness membership specifically because they have those aerobics rooms with the big mirrors. Metroflex has mirrors all over, but there's not like an allocated place to do posing unless you're going to, you know, strip down to your bikini in the middle of the gym. Like, let's be real. And people do that. And in my gym, it's perfectly acceptable. And to be honest, people leave you to your own accord because it is such a bodybuilding gym. They're like, oh, they're getting ready for a show. And if someone talks to you, it's weeks out or you look great, or I mean, you know, no one does any sort of like critiquing and it's not uncomfortable in that
Right.
realm. But like at LA Fitness, if you walk in there and you're the first, you know, you take off your top and you're like in a bikini top or in a sports bra and little shorts, you strap on some clear heels, people are looking at you like, what's about to happen, you know? And it is true. So when it comes to that, I try to either do it very early in the morning or late in the evening. But there's always those people that get super uncomfortable or we're and this has happened to me a few times is like you get the girls in the corner that you because you walk into it sometimes like, well, I'm here to pose, sorry you're in here doing your workout with your girlfriend and you guys and you
Yeah.
see it and I'm more power to them. They've got their YouTube out, they're following like a program and they're like mad at you for going in there when they're like in their quiet space, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and then you're like, man, I'm about to make this even more awkward. And I've had it and I happened. So I'm sure there's like a video of me revolving somewhere. I've had it to where like I've caught these girls in the corner with their phones, just like, you know, videotaping. And you know, they're just like sending that via Snapchat, like, look at this girl in the gym thinking she's all that or whatever it is. And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever, you know, or sending it to their friends, like, what is this? Just talking mess. And that's fine too, you know, but there's no way to avoid it. You know, it is what it is. You just
Yeah.
hope that people mind their own business and keep to their own accord because that's like we would never take out our phones and videotape somebody who's progressing towards a goal, period, whatever they look like, whatever, you know, stage in that progress they're in. But not everyone's like that. And unfortunately, you just kind of deal with it. You got to laugh it off like we do. Like, it is what it is. Like in 3 weeks, that video of me revolving the internet isn't going to matter. Only showing up on stages. So
Nice. Now, so have you ever met anybody at a show or you maybe see more than once, or you may see at your modeling photo shoot or something like that that you probably be like, okay, maybe this will work out between me and that person because both of y'all have the same interests, like modeling, or both of y'all have the same interest in competing. Have that ever happened?
I mean, I feel like there's always going to be attraction in those situations, right?
Hmm.
I can't honestly say that I have ever really progressed or acted on those. Like, of course, there's beautiful people all over our industry, and there are definitely times where I'm like, oh, I'll go to dinner with you. I'd love to flirt a little bit, see what you're about. But you know, realistically, for me, the hard part is that I'm just so busy, you know, and I have done a lot of traveling for like the modeling and the competitions and stuff, and I live in California, so it's that I think that I've kind of put up this block when it comes to having that door open, just because I know that I'm not in a position to kind of give myself to an opportunity like that. But I mean, yeah, of course I've looked. There's
No, you say you're busy because some people ask me that. I tell them, well, you don't understand how much stuff I get going on. I say I am busy. I am very very busy. They be
Right.
like, well, if you find the right person, you'll make time for them. I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, I can make time. I think I'm doing. And I said you can find time for them, but it's like,
Right.
do they understand what I'm doing? Do you know what I'm saying? Do they understand that I'm busy and the sacrifice I'm doing for them?
Well, and you know what? That's a good point because, like you said, if there is somebody that has a very similar, has similar interest outside of their job that you do, so that they understand, okay, yeah, this is what you do for fun, this is what you do, and like you said, seeing somebody that's involved in the same things, you already have a general understanding, and you can appreciate in retrospect that if they are giving you those, text messages or that phone call at the end of the night, that really is them dedicating time to you because,
Mm-hmm.
that's all you really have to give in return. So I think that's really important is do your lifestyles match? And especially like at my age, I'm going to be turning 34. I feel you grow to understand that love isn't enough. It really isn't. Love doesn't, it doesn't conquer everything, and it's not going to fix the problems of your day to day and your relationship and the needs of the other person and your own personal needs. So you're right. You just have to, in my opinion, you just have to understand that what that person is giving you may be all that they can. And if that's enough for you, then you move forward, right? And if it's you understand yourself and your personal needs and what those might be, then you have to say, as much as I think this person's amazing, what
Mm-hmm.
they can give me isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I think having similar, lifestyles is really a benefit because you get it. Okay, fine. You called me today. We had time for a 40-minute call today. And maybe that's only once a week, but it was the highlight of my week and we regrouped and we were able to talk and reconnect and all these things. And now it's like back to the grind. High five. I'll talk to you. And
now,
sometimes it's just how it has to be.
let's talk about say, all right, so a lot of professional athletes, a lot of us
Mhm.
we have a main job. You know, we would do
Mhm.
more than just compete.
Right.
Some people are like, well, you're a pro athlete, so now they see that they have the misconception that all we do is work out in the gym and we make money. But
No, no.
reality is totally different than that. Even if they get
Mhm.
sponsors, if you get a sponsorship, it's only for so long. And when you win, as soon as you start losing, they let you go someone else with a heartbeat.
Right.
And some
Right.
people so and having another job and that your job know that you compete.
So I work in a hospital. I'm a sonographer. Cardiac is my specialty. So the people that I work with, yes, know that I compete, but in the grand scheme of things, no.
Okay. So it's being an athlete. It and people at work know that you're a pro athlete.
Uh-huh.
Do they get this vibe that you like? Why are you here? Or do you get this awkward feeling like like some people are like, okay, you know what I'm saying, and they see your pictures like, well, why are you here? Do they ever you ever get that like like you big time? Why are you here? When they hear you're a pro athlete.
Not, what's funny is not so much from my coworkers. I do get that from
Mm,
other people. I actually have amazing coworkers. They're incredible in the fact that they are extremely supportive of what I do. They tease me a little bit being in the healthcare field. We get a lot of reps and stuff that are constantly bringing in food into our cath lab, and there's a lot of goodies. And the joke is always like, "Hey, Sam, we saved you some lettuce," like that kind of thing. So I have very supportive coworkers, and they also understand that healthcare field, it's not necessarily because of the money. It's because of who you are called. You as a person are called to do so. You're a caretaker. You feel like you're doing God's work. You're serving your community.
Mhm.
So I never get questioned as to why I'm there because I feel like all of us that work in healthcare don't do it because of our, for the money. We do it because we're called to do that. So no one really questions. You're here. We all deal with it, but we understand that we're serving a purpose. Now, people outside of it definitely are like, well, why don't you just quit your job? Why don't you do this full time? Well, number one, I'm 34.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look like this forever. I mean, I'd like to. And if I find enough of the right estheticians, maybe I'll hold on a little bit longer. But,
Mm.
I can only model and body build to a point where it's lucrative. And it's not that lucrative, like you said, for so long, unless you really do jump both feet into it. I am not a huge risk taker when it comes to my own personal stability. I like knowing my income. I like working hard for what I have. And fortunately enough for me, I'm able to fund my extracurriculars with the job that I have. So I'm very happy. I wouldn't risk my security on the hope that modeling or bodybuilding would in some way support me. And it's too saturated of a field, to be completely honest. And the people that say those things just don't understand. We're in it, we live it, and we know the opportunity. We also know where it caps off and the limit to that opportunity. And none of us do it for the profit. We do it because we enjoy it. We love the community. It's something we're going to be able to look back on when we're in our 80s and tell stories to our kids and maybe inspire, our families and friends to be healthier too. So that's why we do it. Being a pro athlete in terms of bodybuilding is very different between, you're not an NFL pro athlete or a, in the NBA or whatever. Like there's the money is just different.
So now, on that note,
Yes.
let's go back. When you start dating someone,
Okay.
when do you bring up the conversation that you're a pro athlete without intimidating them or turning them off?
What's it's funny is that like I have never once been in a situation like, oh, I'm a professional bikini competitor. Usually someone will comment on your physique, like me, I'm much bigger than most women. As you know, if you've seen me on stage, I trump everybody. I'm like a giant, I'm a giraffe. And then you add that with my back being this wide, and most people are like, so you work out a lot, huh? Like, it's usually like a first topic.
Mhm.
So that it kind of leads into that very quickly. Now also when people start to ask you, what do you do for fun? It's like, well, working, I'm at the gym. So then it kind of just streamlines right into that conversation very quickly. Most people are very impressed, and not just in the relationship, but like people that you talk to, friends, people that you meet are like, oh my God, that's so interesting. Tell me more about it. So you kind of find yourself having to talk about it, but it's a good start to educate them on what it is and kind of what it requires. You don't ever want to spearhead a conversation with, hi, I'm Sam and I'm a professional bikini competitor and I have no time for you. Do you still want to have coffee? But sometimes, but sometimes it's probably save a lot of time and heartache if you are that brutally honest. So you just avoid it, like me, right? Like, yeah, sorry, I don't have time. But that's the
Yeah.
truth. It's hard to avoid it. You have to be upfront with it, and it happens. You can't avoid the conversation, but depending, and that's just how it is. Are they going to vibe with it or not? Are they going to be, the person that stands with like a bobblehead of your head, while you're on stage? That's what you hope for, right? I would need somebody that's willing to like embarrass me and make fun of me because that's my personality. Like, if you're going to be the loudest one in the crowd, then I'm about you,
So you want somebody screaming, yelling, and pulling big old sign? Yeah.
I would settle with like a t-shirt with my face on it. But it wouldn't even be like a pretty face. It'd be like me first thing in the morning with like my face all smashed, Like, this one's mine. That's the personality I'm after.
So now, all right. So as an athlete, like as a competitive athlete, what are your turnoffs? So, like, say you was in the gym, or say you was you was meeting somebody,
Uh-huh.
and there was a track that you was in. What been your turn off?
Okay. Oh God. Yeah, in the gym specifically?
It could be in the gym, it could be anywhere. Like, like you meet somebody and you like, okay.
Oh God. That's so hard. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm awful. I'm like, well, there's this. No, I'm just kidding. I think the biggest turnoff for me when it comes to a person I'd be interested in is a lack of drive. Okay, so where are they in their lives? Where do they see themselves in 6 months, in a year? I know that I'm constantly working towards something. And if I don't see that there's that same fire in that person for whatever goals that they are aiming towards, it would be very connect with them. That would probably be my biggest turnoff. Like I can talk to someone, and find out very soon where they spend their time, what's important to them. And that would probably be the biggest thing, which might be why I am so attracted to bodybuilding and the community itself, because everybody's constantly working and I really enjoy that hustle. Oh no, I think I lost you. There you are.
Oh, there you go.
We made it back on. Hello? All right.
can
I
hear
think
you.
we made it back on. There we
Okay.
go. I'm like, oh no, I lost you.
I was like, what's going on?
I was like in the middle of just talking. Don't worry.
I'm sure it's still recorded. Okay.
I hope not. I was like trying to get a hold of you on my phone. I'm like, oh my God. Probably a lot of me like awkwardly squinting at the screen trying to figure out what happened.
I gotta play that and look at it.
Oh my God. I'm telling you.
So, oh man.
Ernest, I have to tell you, I am a very awkward person. I am not polished at all. I'm a big dork. So this is all a facade. I'm like, there's really Bailey's in my coffee. I swear that's what this is. Because now, if we start talking about my own personal relationship, this would have tequila.
I was gonna drink some wine. I was like, oh, people are like, man, he drinking wine. It's early in the morning.
Well, I know. So this whole thing is called wine. Is it wine and talk? What is it? Wine and dine. So I was like, I'm like, this is 9 a.m. Like, I really should have some Baileys in my coffee, but I'm prepping, so I'm just imagining. In a few weeks, when I can actually have a glass of wine, we'll get on some really good topics.
So let's go back. Let's go back.
Well, we were talking about my biggest turnoffs, right?
Right.
Okay. So the biggest one, like I said, is no drive. That would probably be it. So if I can't sit and talk with you about your goals, where you see yourself, where you're headed, because then you're just like stagnant. And that to me is probably the biggest turnoff in any person. Now, as far as like physical appearance, I really don't have like a preference. I don't have like a type per se. You know, I love a person that's going to take care of themselves, be active and fit just because that's how I live my lifestyle. You know, I prefer somebody that's confident in who they are and able to hold a conversation. You know, I tend to gravitate the type of person that can captivate a room. You know, if you are, there has to be something about you, you know. So if you're captivating in some way, I'm going to be like, all right, I'm interested in you. So command presence is huge for me, and I think that just goes with being an A-type personality, somebody that's confident in who they are, knows where they're going, knows where they're headed, and does what they need to do to get there. So those would be like my turn-ons. And if you don't have those things about you, if you're kind of mousy, if you're like in a corner, you don't have the goal to come up to me and have a conversation, I probably would never look twice at you, to be honest. Another thing is a really pretty smile, because you have to be approachable. So for me, if you're like constantly upset, I can do it. And just a kind heart, and somebody who's, you know, very just strong in their beliefs and are willing to kind of stand up for what those are. So they're you know, their moral strength has to be very strong, their moral courage. Those are the things for me that are top tier. So if you're weak, I'm probably not gonna.
So
we're all my real men now.
so as an athlete,
Okay.
because you see a lot of bodybuilders out there, a lot of physique. So it's not like one or like a big guy, because as an athlete, you see like the guys and women, we see it all. So it's not like there's a certain one that's looking for.
Well, no, because like physically, right, in the world of bodybuilding, it is very subjective, and everybody looks phenomenal when they stand on stage. You know, personally for me, I'm so tall. I just want somebody that's going to be taller than me. You know, by the time I put heels on and I tease my hair, I'm like 6'1". So I'm like, so like, Lord, please just give me somebody I don't got to wear flats with all the time. You know, but, so. And that's a big deal, right? Like, and that just goes back to us and our own personal insecurities, right? So since I am tall, I mean, I've been my height since like 7th grade. I just shot up and I stayed there. And so for me, I was always like taller than everybody. It took the boys a really long time to catch up, and some of them unfortunately never passed me, so I shit you not. My very first boyfriend in high school, and I'm not going to drop his name in case somehow he watches this, but he competed his senior year wrestling at 120 pounds. Okay. So if you can imagine, we were like the same size. And so and then he was like almost 18, and I'm like, well, this is what we got. We're like, we can share clothing, There has been many jokes with people in the past that I have like talked to, dated, whatever, about the fact that I have giant feet and that I could probably share shoes with them, like it's just, these are my insecurities. So if you're bigger than me, I'm happy. But, if I had to say something about my favorite part of a man, right, it would be like strong shoulders and like a broad upper half, like that's me. I know some women are like, give me some meat thighs. Like, nah, I'm good all that. Like, I just want to hold me.
Meat thighs. I
Yeah.
never heard that before.
No, and like personally speaking, I'm this wide. Like, I need somebody that's going to be at least this wide, come hold me. Yeah. I don't have legs either. So like, I'm not going to be mad at that.
Let's go back to what you said. Meat thighs. What are meat thighs?
like some ham hocks. You know what I mean?
Like Arnold legs, like Arnold used to be legs.
I'm telling you. I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate a beautifully built physique. If I do see a man's lower half and it is built incredibly, I mean, more power to you. Like, to me, am I just gonna be like, oh yeah, he's got to be wearing them little dad shorts with like giant thighs? Like, that's not what I'm after. I prefer you to like, I don't know, not cover them up, but it's just not my personal thing. Like, don't get me wrong. I am not saying I do not like it. I'm just saying.
I got you.
For me, I've always just been like an upper body, arms, chest, like broad shoulders, big back type of girl. That's maybe because I'm tall and like I see up at this level, personally. But that's me. So I mean, a bodybuilder certainly meets that criteria. Men's physique guys certainly meet that criteria. I mean, I'm not, when it comes to a bodybuilding physique, I don't have a preference, but I do like a big upper body.
I got you. Okay. Let's see. What other questions I have? I think we need to save the rest of them for our next show. No,
I know. I would love to be back on. Absolutely. This was so fun. I mean, I have a better understanding as to what to expect, and a shot of tequila may be required before the next one. I guess it just depends on the subject.
I would definitely have you one for next show. Shot of tequila.
Oh my God, Ernest, when will I see you again? I mean, what's your next show? I just have to ask.
See, everybody asked me for my next show. I'm looking at 3 shows in November, but I might do one soon. When's your next show?
I will be in St. Louis, September 3rd. I'm doing the Show Me State, Q show. I'm very excited for that. So that's, it's coming up here really quick. So after this, I'm about to do some cardio and then, get after my day because it's a Saturday and it's one more day for progress, as you know.
Nice. I need to fly to California sometime. Y'all got some shows in California, don't you?
Well, see, this is the thing. We're actually trying to make the movement here. There isn't as many natural bodybuilding shows out here. I know the OCB does host some, the PNBA, I believe, as well. As far as like the NGA, I don't know that they do many out this direction. Natural bodybuilding in California isn't, I don't want to say it isn't as big. We're definitely trying to bring some stuff further out this way. And honestly, I would love to not have to travel so far just to be able to compete, That way my friends and family can come and see me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully next year.
Nice. So September 3rd. Okay. That's what's up. I know some athletes competing.
Keep your eye out. So I know for sure Lonnie is. That's the only other bikini athlete that I know personally. So I'm very excited to see her. I think Keith also committed to that show, but Keith's everywhere. So, it doesn't surprise me. He's going to show up on my doorstep next week. Watch, like he's just
He called me. I
He's
said, "Hey man, what's
everywhere.
up?"
He never
I know.
stops.
I said, "Where you at, man?" He said, I'm on a plane now, heading to Miami." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Where
I
you at now?" He said,
know.
"I'm going to boot camp. I'm going such as for boot camp." I'm like, man, you everywhere.
Yeah, he does. He just kind of pops up wherever he pleases, which is great. More power to him. I mean, I
Yeah,
do quite a bit of traveling too with some of the activities that I do. So, shout out to him because it's not easy to do while you're trying to prep.
yeah. You're not lying about that, man.
Yeah.
Him and Ed Murphy doing 20 shows this year.
Oh
Woo.
Lord, there's no way I would die. I need like 2 weeks recovery time from one.
I was like, "How
I
do you
can't
do
do
it,
it.
man?" She's like, "Whatever. I'm just doing whatever my body let me do." So I got to interview him on August 21st and 29th. Yeah, 29th.
Oh, awesome. I know. I'm going to tune in for those. Absolutely. This is really
Yeah.
exciting. I love that I was able to be on this and that you were able to host me, and this was a really fun topic. I hope that, I mean, I don't really have advice for people. I just kind of spoke on my own thoughts. So, everybody take what I said with a grain of salt. It's just
well,
what goes on in this crazy head.
well, our next show we'll have like probably like 3 or 4 of y'all because other people
Oh,
said they want to do it too, so we have like more people talking at the same
oh,
time.
I love that. I love that because you get more perspective and it kind of helps with some of the quiet time because you can pinball off of each other. So I'm excited to be a part of that. I got a lot to say if you can't tell, so don't get me started. I just run with it.
So we'll do it. We'll do it again real soon, and I'm gonna post. I'm gonna edit this and then post it on YouTube. It's
Oh,
on
perfect.
YouTube right now. Live stream is on Facebook Live. I'm gonna edit it so that way it'd be a little different.
Oh, awesome. All right, Ernest. Well, amazing job with this. This is so exciting. And I love the light that you're shedding on our sport and all the athletes. Like, this is just incredible. So thank you for hosting me.
Are you welcome? Thank you very much.
All right. I'll see you soon.
See you soon. That was
Bye.
Samantha Roldan.